Today, we're going to dive into the research of Brené Brown and really challenge what we think we know about being brave. Because it turns out, the single biggest thing holding us back from living a courageous life, it's probably not what you think.
So let me just ask you a quick question. What is the opposite of courage? Go with your first gut reaction. What's the word that pops into your head?
If you're like most people, your brain probably jumped straight to one word, fear. And that makes sense, right? Courage is all about feeling the fear and doing it anyway. But what if that's not quite the full picture?
Okay, get ready for a bit of a mind shift here. Because according to Brené Brown's decades of research, the real enemy isn't fear. She says it's not fear that gets in the way of us being brave. It's the armor. It's the stuff we do to protect ourselves when we feel afraid. That's the real problem.
So what on earth is this emotional armor she's talking about? Well, this is the thing that really gets in our way. The true villain that stops us from showing up and being brave. To put it simply, emotional armor is all those self-protective things we do almost without thinking whenever we feel vulnerable or exposed. It's our go-to shield to keep our ego and our sense of self-worth from getting dinged. And I bet these behaviors look a little familiar, don't they? Things like perfectionism or micromanaging everything, or maybe that flash of anger that's really just covering up sadness or fear. It's so important to see these not as character flaws, but as what they are. Our automatic protective armor. And our bodies totally give us away. Brown calls these our physical tells. You ever notice your voice getting kind of high-pitched during a tense conversation, or that little bodily quiver when you feel exposed? That constant feeling of being on alert? Yep, that's your armor showing up physically. So here's the big paradox, the real catch. While that armor feels like it's keeping us safe, it's actually cutting us off from the things that make life worth living. It literally pushes us away from love, from real connection, and from our own values. But okay, we're not just here to talk about the problem. Brown's work is packed with these amazing practical tools to help us put the armor down. So let's start with this really powerful metaphor for understanding how we build trust, because you need trust to feel safe enough to be vulnerable in the first place. And this whole idea actually came from a really painful moment in her own family. Her young daughter, Ellen, came home from school just crushed because her friends had betrayed a secret, and she looked at her mom and said, "I will never trust anyone again." And that's where this marble jar idea comes from. Brené explained to her daughter that trust isn't this one big dramatic thing. No, it's like a jar, and you fill it one small marble at a time. Remembering someone's parents' names? That's a marble. Making room for someone at the lunch table? That's another marble. And when you have something really important to share, you go to the friend with the full marble jar. This lines up perfectly with research from the Gottman Institute. They call these sliding door moments. They're all those tiny little choices we make every day to either turn towards someone when they need us or turn away. That's exactly where trust is built or broken. All right, let's look at another tool. This one is a super practical physical technique you can use to handle that first wave of anxiety or fear before the armor even has a chance to clank into place.
This whole idea came from a really simple command her trainer gave her, and it points to this crucial little difference. Are you just standing on the floor, or are you actually connecting with the ground beneath your feet?
Okay, so here's how you do it. It's so simple. First, you just consciously push your feet into the ground. It's a real physical action. Next, you focus your mind on that physical sensation. And then you can even whisper it to yourself, strong ground. So why does this work? It's genius, really. It creates a pause. It stops what she calls the crazy train of catastrophic thoughts from running away with you. It just gives you that tiny bit of space you need to choose how to respond instead of just reacting with your old trusty armor. So when you put all of this together, what we're left with is a pretty fundamental choice. A choice we actually have to make over and over again every single day. It really does come down to this choice. On one side, you've got your armor, that need for control, the perfectionism, the numbing out. And on the other side, you've got courage, the willingness to be vulnerable, to build trust, to feel gratitude. It's the difference between trying to fit in and fighting for true belonging. And that brings us right back to the very heart of all of this. We've all been taught that vulnerability is weakness, but the research is absolutely clear. There is no courage without vulnerability. It's the birthplace of bravery. You just can't have one without the other. So the challenge for all of us isn't about throwing away all our armor overnight. That's not realistic. It's just about becoming aware of it. So think about it. What is one piece of your armor, maybe it's control, maybe it's perfectionism, that you will choose to set down just for today?